Hi, this is a quick review of The Machine Stops by Hawkwind. Now, I must admit I'm a little bit late getting my copy of The Machine Stops because it came out in 2016. And I'm very pleased I did buy it because I'm something of a lapsed Hawkwind fan. I'm very pleased to say that The Machine Stops is fantastic. It's a first-class album indeed. And it's very much like the Hawkwind of old. You know, if we went back to the 70s and 80s, it's a real retro but modern feel to it as well. Just like Hawkwind used to be. And on top of that, it's a good old-fashioned concept album as well, because it's based on E.M. Forster's somewhat prophetic novella from a few decades ago. And talking about decades, if we go back a few to the mid 70s. Quark, Strangeness and Charm by Hawkwind was one of the first records I bought as a back then a teenager, and you know, the Hawkwind stayed with me ever since in some ways, but not in others. That sounds a little bit silly, doesn't it? But buying Quark, Strangeness and Charm all those years ago did trigger a very deep dive for me into Hawkwind back then, given how strong their output was at that time, and of course the late great Bob Calvert at the helm as well. But for me, after Calvert left, Hawkwind were never quite the same, in my opinion. Sure, I still bought their albums, but until buying The Machine Stops recently, the last Hawkwind album I did buy was the excellent Chronicle of the Black Sword, which in my opinion, until The Machine Stops came along, was the last truly great Hawkwind album to find its way out there. But now I've picked up The Machine Stops on something of a whim after stumbling on some good reviews elsewhere, and I'm very pleased I have. It's a real proper Hawkwind album with all the elements which hark back to the 70s and 1980s glory years for the band. It's got that spacey, familiar, unmistakable chugging riff that only Dave Brock can do. It's very recognisable. It is all the swirling keys and the spacey stuff is there as well. All that classic Hawkwind sound, and Richard Chadwick drums up a storm, driving the whole thing along. And there's a couple of short, sharp instrumentals thrown in, you know, just like they used to be as well. The album starts with a bleakly spoken track, All Hail the Machine. And that's somewhat in the style of Sonic Attack for those that remember the old days. And the starkness of the delivery of All Hail the Machine is quite an appropriate scene setter, given the subject matter of the concept album. That leads us nicely into The Machine, which is a proper old school Hawkwind song, up-tempo, space rocker, pumped along by Brock's riff and some excellent keyboard stabs as well. A real catchy tune also, you know. We go back to 1975 if you like. It's got that feel about it. But as well as the old style space rock, they mix it all up as well. There are some quieter paced elements in there which all add to the mix, and even if some of it might be a little bit un-Hawkwind like, it all works so very well throughout. Take out in particular Synchronized Blue, another excellent space rocker just like the old days. It's a real beast of a song. The harmonic hole has a bit of a doomy feel to it. Solitary Man, back to the space rock, and then tracks like Tube and Lost in Science bring things to a close in a really great way. So it really is a top class album. Everything fits together so well. It's all very fresh sounding, and the production is excellent. I mean, put the headphones on and you'll enjoy it even more. Old Hawkwind fans like me, which have been, well, let's say absent for a while, will love it. I certainly do. And, you know, it's a real return to form for Hawkwind. It's first class from start to finish. I do recommend that you pick up a copy if you're an old Hawkwind fan like me that's been missing for a while, or you just enjoy the whole genre. It's fantastic. It really is. If you'd like to read the review, I'm recording this from a blog post from newwaveofbritishheavymetal.com. The link to that is below, and some other information as well. So, oh, and don't forget to subscribe while you're here as well, because I'll be doing other videos from posts on the blog, newwaveofbritishheavymetal.com. So, thanks for listening to this. Do pick up a copy of The Machine Stops. Fantastic Hawkwind, just like they used to be, and check out the description below as well. So, thanks a lot. Okay.